Selling in the new year. Start prepping your home now, ready for launch. I actually can't believe I'm saying this, Perry. Selling in the new year. Like, I can't, where's this year gone? It's been crazy.
It's been a crazy busy year, isn't it?
It has been, absolutely. But what a great kind of show to round the year off with. And it's all about kickstarting into January, new year, new goals, new property journey for you. So if you're thinking of selling in the new year, December is the time to get everything in place for getting your home on the market. When in January, that buyer activity really does start to pick up. Although we have seen some great success in the last couple of weeks, haven't we, Perry? We have been out to loads of properties, sign-ups, conclusions, sales. There's been some great activity. But this is where we see when people kind of have that break from work, we would say, to kind of finesse your presentation. And it potentially is a quieter month. But also over Christmas is where you probably spend more time in your home. So that's where you can really take a good look at things, almost take a step back and really look at things and really look at your presentation. And then you can get yourself obviously prepped for getting those agents out, finding your perfect match. And there really is a lot of advantages to kind of start that ball rolling now. And it might not seem like the time of year, but absolutely this is the time of year. Now,
It's a
to give you a
conversation. It's a conversation we have constantly, isn't it? And I'm certainly having that with clients when I
yeah,
go out there thinking, oh, but I don't want to move until spring. And the reality is, actually, if you don't market now, you won't move in spring, it'll be later. And this is such a good time as well, because you're getting really off the bat at the start of the year, which I think is a really good way. And it's a quick win as well for sellers, because the buyers are still out there and they're very active at the moment.
100%. And it is, and I think, and we, to be honest, Perry, we speak about this a lot about don't get caught up in the kind of outside noise of what family or friends tell you. Oh, now's not a good time to go. This is where you actually have to speak to a local
Yeah.
expert, speak to an agent, and get your facts, because actually, so I do the weekly update every week, and I recently did the November roundup. And to give you a little bit of an insight, now we won't be surprised by this, Perry, but obviously other people aren't aware of the market. In the month of November, in Fife, there was 382 properties went to market just in the month of November in Fife. But actually, 423 properties sold. So there was 423 buyers on the market, while there was only 382. So there was more buyers than properties came to market. So that just shows you there's still the active buyers out there. There's still the market for it. You're just entering the marketplace when there is less competition, and that is the key. And that is what we're here to talk through today, is we're to give you insights and tips and how to get ahead of everybody else to make sure that you're ready to go on your ideal launch date, to avoid the kind of real rush that you'll see kind of March, April, May going into the spring, summer, like Perry's mentioned. This is where you can get yourself organized. So we've put together almost like an action plan for you to help you make the most of December and the festive season, with tips on being kind of hot to trot, we would say, into the new year. So this is about making an agent shortlist, getting your home valued, choosing your favorite agent, and actually what they can do for you. What is their understanding of the marketplace? What is their marketing? All of that and all the tips that come with that. Planning your launch and your strategy, and then how to prepare your home for sale. And by taking these steps now, you can hopefully launch your home with that kind of finished, polished look, pristine presentation, and a really perfectly pitched price point. And this is something we've banged on about, and we'll bang on about it for eternity. It is the price point. But when we say, making an agent shortlist, Perry, kick us off with that. What does that look like?
I think you've covered a really great headline topics there. So it's going to be really interesting to deep dive into this, because actually it's a real education for people, isn't it? And I've been out to people recently who have basically said, no, I'm going to wait till February, going to launch then. And actually, when you have that discussion and you educate around what the market is doing when we come out of December, it really has prompted people to get ready now. And you've had the same experience as me with that. So I think absolutely, when you're choosing your agent, you need an agent that actually is going to educate you on, as a seller, on what the market's doing, give you confidence that they understand the market and actually where you are best placed to get sold. Because this is what this is all about, isn't it? You've made that decision, you want to go to market, you're ready to move, you've got your reasons within your family why you're making that choice, and you're motivated to do it. So really you want to be able to go to market and get sold quickly. And this is how you can really take out the good from the not so good, I would say. And so it really is great to give you these tips. So there are plenty of agents out there. We all know that. There are choices, and we constantly say get at least 3 opinions, don't we? Because it's a good thing to do. You want to get that advice and you want to get that opinion, but you also want to identify who is the most competent in the marketplace as well. And that's vital for you as a seller. So for me, choose from the ones that are in your location. Whittle them down as well. So what you want to do is select a few of them to come into your home. We normally say 3, but it's wise to run a few preliminary checks as well before you even decide on the 3 that you're going to invite. So don't just go onto Google and say, oh, agents in Fife, and pick 3. That's not going to get you the best ones that come out. So it's about how do you identify which ones you actually want to come out, and then how do you whittle those down as well. So for me, searching online, you're looking at marketing your home, look for properties that are perhaps like yours. So if you go into Rightmove or to Zoopla and have a look and see what's in your postcode and what's selling and who's selling them and how long have they been listed, because that's a real good indicator as well as to how quickly perhaps you'll get sold. So absolutely do that. I think, but even better, you want to look at who has recently sold in the area, because whilst you might see properties that are selling, do they actually complete to sale? And that's a big factor for me, because actually, yes, they may sell the property as in it's under offer, but under offer isn't keys handed over and money in the bank, you moved into your new home. So that's a real strong indicator as to how you will get moved as well. At this moment in time in Scotland alone, 82% of properties that are under offer complete. So that's 18% that don't. That's a big number when you think about it. That's not across all agencies, of course. That's just Fife and Scotland as a whole. But actually, it's a good indicator as to how good your agent has negotiated for you, and can they actually manage that whole process of your conveyancing along with your solicitor and get you sold, so you actually physically get moved. So again, you can go into Rightmove, you can look at sold properties in the area, you can see did they sell and complete, and actually what did they sell for as well. And that's a really good one to look at too, because actually for yourself, when you're moving, you absolutely want to get the most amount of money for your home as you can. The home report is the home report. That's what it will be. The surveyor will decide on that. And then it's about your agent being really strong in negotiating to try and get you more money over that home report as they can get. Because the next place you go to may need work done. You may need to overpay for the house that you've purchased. So again, you want to maybe recoup some of that. So you need that in your sale. So it really is about making sure that that agency can do that as well. And that's the biggest factor, because at the end of the day, it's not just about the property that you purchase. It's also about the monetary transaction of it as well, isn't it, Sophie?
100%. Now, I've got a question for you, Perrie. When you say about get a couple of agencies, would you say also don't go too many? There's such a thing as too many agents and too many quotes, would you say?
Yeah, I would. For me, generally, I would say no more than 3. You want to do at least 2, but absolutely no more than 3. Recently, I've been out to someone who has had 5 agencies out, and actually then just became so confused, because some are saying one number, some are saying another. But then actually you dilute the true magic that the agent that you should choose has got to offer, because then it all starts to flow and get muddled into one another. It's impossible for one person. You're in a heightened state. It's your most precious item, and you're taking all this data in, and it can be quite overpowering, and overwhelming. So I think for me, absolutely, if you get too many, all that does is confuse things. And actually, if you've got one within that 5, if you decided to go for a 5 that has kind of shot for the stars that are totally out of sync with everyone else, then actually you won't generally listen to the other 4, because you're just focused on what the first one had said, perhaps, because people see a number and that's what they get fixated on, and it can really dilute actually the quality of what you get. And remember what I said at the beginning of that conversation as well, is it's not how you started, it's actually how you end that journey. You're sold at a price that you're really comfortable with. And that for me is key. And sometimes too many agencies can really confuse the mix. So absolutely at least 2, but no more than 3, I would suggest.
Yeah,
That
absolutely
would be
agree
my
with
opinion. And another good way to do that as well, and I actually did this. So, you know,
Mhm.
I haven't always done this role, but when I was selling my house, 5 Properties sold my house way back in the day, many moons ago. And at that time, what I did as well at that moment was I hadn't really sold in Fife for a while because we hadn't lived in Fife for some time. And I was contacting other agencies and actually kind of going a bit undercover, if you like. So I was, you know, registering as a buyer, was looking to purchase property in areas that I was interested in. And it was really very stark for me, the difference between the responses that I received
Yep.
in the knowledge response from the agency, in the attentiveness response, but also more so actually the information gathering about me was really quite unusual and a really vast change. And I know we're talking about selling and getting ready, but actually you can only sell if you've got a buyer. So you need to make sure that that buyer is a true buyer who can actually fill the role and purchase a house and get to that end game. And for me, what was really stark was the complete difference registering as a buyer with all the different agencies of how they responded to me. You know, one agency I phoned up and said, you know, I've seen a property that I like, I'd like to view it. Yeah, no problem. We've got a slot on this date at that time. That's you booked in. Not a single question was asked. So as a buyer, do they actually know that I can afford that house?
They've done
Do
the
they
due
know?
diligence.
Yeah, there's no due diligence was done. So it's, you know, firstly, am I a true buyer or am I just, I've nothing on this weekend, they're just going to have a little look because I'm a bit nosy. You know, they had no idea whether I needed a mortgage. They had no idea if I had a property to sell. They had no idea if I was a cash buyer, if I was in rented, if I was first-time buyer. And all of those things for me are really important to understand about potential buyers. We register buyers all the time, so don't we? And it's about understanding who they are, where they want to be, and how they can get the funds. And if you haven't got that information, actually that's quite soul destroying as a seller because you're potentially putting buyers through the door that actually aren't in a position to buy.
100%. And they've got the house prepped, they've got all excited, they think they're locked in. And then, as you say, somebody was just out for a jolly one afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. But it wasn't just that as well. So it wasn't just even the questioning, it was actually the energy of the person as well. So, you know, how enthusiastic were they? How knowledgeable were they? How much did they want to interact with me? And how much did I feel that I was connecting with them? So that really becomes a very significant part of it. Because if that's the agency you decide to sell with, you want all of those things from them. You want them to be attentive, you want them to be enthusiastic, you want them to know everything about you and also the property. So when you flip that as the buyer and that's not the response that you get, is that how they're treating your potential buyer? So that for me is a really crucial thing as well, because you really want clear communication and you want someone that's really motivated and excited to be working with you, because
100%.
their passion is what will come across to all of the buyers that are interested in your house. Even just from the whole presentation of your property, how the agency is marketing it, how they are telling potential buyers who are phoning, oh, have you seen this house? If you're not getting that energy from someone, for me, that's a no-no, because actually that's the kind of interaction you will have and you won't enjoy it.
Correct. And you know what? It's so interesting you speak about this because I was speaking with a client who is on with another agent and isn't getting the results that they had expected and they were promised, etc. And they're thinking about changing agencies. And I said to them, okay, do one thing for me. Go and mystery shop your own property. Get some family or friend. Don't you do it because they'll potentially recognise your number or your voice, but go and get your friend or family to ask for the home report. How long does that take? Then from the home report to the follow-up for the viewing. I says, get somebody to mystery shop your own property for you. And that might help you make that final decision of if you need to look at another agency. And they were like, I never thought to do that. Never even thought of it. So undercover, you know, do it. Why not?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I mean, as you say, and we've spoke about it many times before, it's the biggest asset that you have. You want the best result and you want the best outcome. So that for me is a real big one. But also what I would be looking at is their Google reviews. I'd be looking to understand what kind of feedback that they're getting, because the feedback and reviews that an agency will receive will generally be from buyers and sellers, of course. So that's really powerful information for you to see. But I'd also be going to the website of that agency as well. And does that website have reviews on there? So for us, for instance, we've got the ESTAs on there. The ESTAs is literally the Oscars of the estate agency world. It's actually the only event and only reward and feedback that you receive which is voted for by customers. All other awards are business to business. This is purely your customers that are voting for you. And all of those reviews that you see will be on the website. So that gives you good interaction. And within that as well, it doesn't just give you an overview of the company, but actually if they've had really great service from one person in particular, they also get to name that person and why they thought that. So if you are meeting Sophie or you are meeting me, I would absolutely insist that you look at that website, go down to the ESTAs and pick out the ones that are going to show you that interaction of that person that you know you've got that appointment with, because it really does give you a true insight as to how you're going to be managed by that individual and what relationship you're likely to have with them. And for me, that's pretty crucial, I think.
100%. I mean, it's there for you to see in black and white, isn't it? And you can't argue with black and white. So absolutely.
Yeah. And one of the things that, some people have done, and I've had this recently myself. So we sold a property recently and we're actually now selling the neighbour's house. And basically the neighbour got in touch with the seller and said, what kind of experience did you have with them? They got the feedback, were delighted with what they heard, and now they're selling with us as well. And they're doing it now. They're preparing in December, exactly what we're speaking about. And we're going to be launching just after Christmas. So these things are really important things to do as well. And, sometimes, as a seller or an individual who's starting your journey, you may think, oh gosh, that sounds a little bit, I'm not sure if I want to do that. I'm not comfortable with it. It's actually vital that you do it, because this is the most asset you've got in value. It's your family home. It's everyone that matters in your life that's actually going to be involved in you selling your home and moving on to your next place. So absolutely don't feel like that, probe, question, test, make sure you do the right things, because actually ultimately you're paying that agent for that service and you want the best outcome you get. And it's a stressful time. You want it to be as stressless as possible. So I would absolutely suggest that you do that. All of this should really then help you narrow down who you're going to use for, and it'll help you search for that agent and plan who you're going to come out to the house as well. But it's also then about you identifying, well, who's going to work best with you without you really having to waste your time. Who wants to sit with 5 agents? I would just not. I don't have time in my life for that. The appointment on average is an hour. I've not got 5 hours in my life to just give to that process. So narrowing it down to begin with is really vital, I think, and it helps you get the short list to the 1 or 2, and will really give you confidence that you've made the right choices as well, I think. So that's really pre-planning for me. It's then about, well, how do we then, once we've chosen, how do we get the valuation of the house done? So, you need to get the valuation done now if you're looking to kind of launch in January, don't you?
100%, absolutely.
Sophie?
Because really the valuation is your first real insight into local market demand, but also getting your home valued. Then you're looking to obviously purchase something else, you then have an idea of what budget you're working with. Often we'll go out to valuations, Perrie, and they haven't started looking for the next home because they don't know what they're sitting on. They don't know what they have to play with almost. So this really is your first point of call, understanding what your valuation looks like, and also how that agent gets to that valuation as well. And obviously something Perrie touched on is don't just potentially go for the one that's way out the bat and has gone way higher than perhaps what the market is telling us. You really need to understand your realistic sale price. And this is key. We never ever want to overvalue your home, nor do we want to undervalue it either. It's about getting that realistic sale price to get you moved on in your journey. So, and obviously we appreciate that this isn't your day in, day out. This is us. This is for the expert to guide you through this process. But things that you really need to look out for when an estate agent visits your property is, and for me, it's even the little things when do they arrive? It's even the little things of, do they arrive on time, Perrie?
That's a big bugbear, isn't it, if they don't?
I turned up to a house the other day and I was early, and she was like, oh, you're early. And I was like, well, if you're on time, you're late. I was like, you have to be early. And that is a big thing. Do they arrive early? Are they presentable? And it's even little things like when they come into your home, Would you like me to take my shoes off? It's all about starting that respect and that appreciation of your home. And then do they have that real interest? Do they sit down and listen to your story? Because I don't know about you, Perrie, but when we are going out to clients and they've potentially had the 3 or the 5, you walk in and they go, should we just start walking around now then?
Yeah.
And that's obviously what they've had with other agents. It's just been, in we go, let's do the tour and that's it. And you're just all flustered. And it's just like it's then more like a transaction.
Mm-hmm.
But is that agent sitting down with you, understanding why we are there? We are there for a reason. So what is that reason? What are we there to help with? What do their ideal next steps look like?
Mm-hmm.
And also, do they have any initial questions that they just want to ask? Because you want to be put at ease. It's about starting and building that relationship. So actually, are they just listening to you for starters?
Mm-hmm.
Or do they just go in, whiz around, fire a number at you, fire the fees at you, and they've gone within 15, 20 minutes and moved on to the next one? Because that, again, gives you an insight potentially on how your viewing might be conducted. And it's all these little things that you need to look for. And Perrie's hit it on the head. How you interact is how they're going to interact with your potential buyers.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? And then
I think for me as well, though, the point that you make there's a really powerful one, because actually, if someone is in and out of your home in 20 minutes and it has felt like a transaction, that also not only just about how they interact with your buyers, but it also tells me, if I use that agent and I want to reach out to them, are they so busy that they've not got time for me because they're in and out in 20 minutes, they're off to the next one, and they're more interested about just the next one, the next one, the next one. So if I feel uncomfortable or I want to have a debrief or a catch up, have they got time to do that? Or are they just going to be quick? Are they going to be quick with that as well? So if I'm uneasy about something, am I going to have that phone call with them or go into the office and visit them? Am I actually going to be able to contact them? And if I do, am I going to be able to get that time from them that makes me feel comfortable with whatever it is that's concerning me? And that would be another thing for me, because that to me is a transaction. So that's like next. They're not really interested in spending that quality time with you to answer your concerns, your questions, your queries, your feedback. And those things are really important. They're vital.
Absolutely. And you're right. It's the quality over quantity, and that's what matters. And then it all comes down to like the valuation and really what that looks like. And yes, if you are getting obviously a couple of agencies out, you might get one that gives you potentially a really high figure that you're like, oh, that gives you that really feel good rush. It's really flattering. You're potentially spending and cha-chinging in your head already because you've heard a lot higher figure than perhaps other agents or what you were expecting. But don't get caught up on that, because potentially if you go for that just because it's a high number with no evidence, and that is the key here, it's the evidence. How can they demonstrate that that is actually a realistic figure? Or if they've just walked in, said, oh, what would you like to get for it? You pluck a number out, hoping for the best. They go, yep, job done. That's it. That is not going to work in the marketplace. If there's comparables and that you are priced way out of that and you are priced too high for the marketplace. And that is the key here, is how is that agent demonstrating to you that that figure is realistic for your price point? Because there's so many things that come into play with evaluation. It's your overall footprint and the floor area of the property. Are they potentially comparing your mid-terrace property to a semi-detached or a detached?
Yeah.
Are they as well potentially comparing to one that's got a garage and a driveway where you've not got off-street parking, or that one, or vice versa? What is the standard of the property as well? Has there been investment into the expensive areas like kitchens and bathrooms? All of this comes into play as well. And I've had it recently, Perrie, I don't know about you, where a client's been out, they've had loads of agencies, and there's an agency that's not comparing it to 3 comparable sales with on the street. They've given them a high figure based on one that's in a completely different scheme in a completely different area. And then they've gone with that because they've heard the high figure, but it's not relative to that postcode and that street. And it's then priced way out.
You do get that. But the square meterage thing for me as well that you mentioned earlier, Sophie, is a really big thing as well, because I've been out to clients recently who've had higher numbers from other agencies, and they've compared it to a property that was just around the corner, same postcode, but just around the corner, but it's been extended. It's a different footprint. It's a different square meter. So yes, the high-end finish is equal in both homes, but actually the other home has got an extra 60 square meters.
Yeah.
But they've given them the same price, and the market won't buy that at that price because they're thinking, well, hang on, but it's a whole different layout. It's a different size. I'm getting an extra large bedroom. I'm getting an extra large ensuite. My kitchen's been extended compared to this one. And so it really is vital that you get those good and comparables. And I really focus on that when I'm with my clients, excuse me. But as well as looking at square meterage as well, I also, in my comparables, make sure that the client sees the floor plan, if there is one, because not all agencies use them, but if there is a floor plan, make sure that you show them the floor plan as well. A client that I was at recently had an idea of a number in their mind that they wanted, and there was nothing in that street that sold, but there was one round the corner, slightly different postcode, but it was round the corner in the same estate, a mirror of the same property if you were looking at it from the outside, and the footprint was almost exact. So I was able to say, well, actually, we have just sold this one, and this is the price that we sold it for. And he said, actually, do you know what? That could be my house looking at it. You're absolutely right. That is the right price.
Yep.
As you say, if I show them one that's a completely different postcode and a different layout, how can it be the same? It's not the same. So it's really important that they can demonstrate that, your agent, isn't it?
100% it is. It's all about demonstrating that price point. And then when they are then doing that pricing, what actually is their strategy for then selling that home? Because you have that, literally that one opportunity when you hit Rightmove and your Zoopla and your S1 Homes, if your agent is listed on there, and that is a key thing as well, is where are they actually going to advertise your property?
Yeah.
But are they on the Rightmove? Are they on Zoopla? Are they on S1 Homes? Highly doubt they're on S1 Homes, which we are. But where are they actually going to
and the reason that's important, to just elaborate on that, Sophie, the reason that's important, as we all know, because Fife is wonderful, we love it, but a lot of S1 Homes is primarily Glasgow based, and we all know a lot of Glasgow people come to Fife to enjoy the summer here. So if you're not capturing that market, you're missing a massive audience.
100%, absolutely. And especially if you're perhaps selling a property in the East Snook area, where it is that more lifestyle that potentially people are looking for from the West Coast, absolutely. But that is it. It's not about just the price point, but it's the strategy of the home, because you've got that one opportunity when you hit those portals to make that impact, because the first couple of weeks give you a great insight into how that property is going to perform. But actually, the key is, what is your agent doing for you before you even hit the portals? They're not just taking a couple of photographs, putting it on Rightmove, crossing their fingers and hoping for the best and waiting for the clients to come to them. What is your agent doing for you before you've even got to that stage? When are they actually starting to talk about the property, pushing it out, starting the marketing and getting that real reach and audience? Are they doing a coming soon and letting the people know that a coming soon is coming? Are they already starting to build a database of hot buyers and hot clients that they know are looking for properties? Are they doing a pre-portal video and putting it on social media to test that price point as well, but also to drum up that interest before it does go to the wider portals? What are they doing for you before you actually get to the portals? And that is where it's key. And we'll speak about this, Perrie, when we're out with clients, and we'll say, we are literally getting your property out there and we are starting to get interest at the same time that surveyor's been round. As soon as that surveyor's been through the door, we're at the back of them. We're almost harassing them. We're at the back of them, and we're there doing that video, and we have got it out there, and we have launched your property on the same day that the home report has been carried out. And that's where the interest starts. That is where you build your interest. So what is your agent doing as their strategy to get you that initial response, which also helps drive you to get the best price for your home? And perhaps then, and I get questioned this as well. Okay, so what if my property doesn't get interest within the first couple of weeks? We'll get some clients that say, give me worst case scenario. I just want to cover all bases. Give me worst case scenario. What are they going to do for you at that point? Are they just going to come to you and say, oh, price point's too high, we're just going to have to reduce your price and reduce your price? What do they do for you, and what are they going to do if we get to that point? And that is a key question to ask. and actually what is their strategy with that. Now we look at a load of different things, but I'm also not going to give away our hints and tips, Perrie.
No,
but we look
we
at
don't
a
want to do
load,
that.
we look at a load of different things before we get to that point. And then finally, is that agent coming in and actually saying to them, look, absolutely, this is your home, but actually it's within our best interest to get it sold for you. So I would suggest potentially looking at addressing this issue, just fixing that area, look at doing that. Or are they not doing that because they've been in the door, whizzed around, gave you a figure, and they've left in 15 to 20 minutes, and they've actually not even looked or seen anything. And that is a key thing as well, is are they making those suggestions? And I did it with just a client the other day. He had a living room and a dining room. There was a dining room table, but it was collapsed and just pushed against the wall, and it was just an empty space. And I said, you've got a dining room, you have a dining room table there, it's just collapsed. Open that dining table back up. Yeah. Set this up as a dining room. It's a family home. People love to see that. So get it set back as a dining room. And he was like, you're absolutely right, that we can do that quickly. Me and my wife this evening will get that done. And that has cost them absolutely nothing. But the impact that that'll have in the photography, the walkthrough videos, and actually the mindset, and when people are viewing that property, will make such a difference.
Yeah.
But is your agent making those suggestions? And if you've perhaps got to the end of the appointment and they've not made any suggestions to you, ask them the question, put them on the spot, see what their response is as well. Ask them, is there anything I need to be doing to my home? Or do they just go, no, you're all right, it's fine as it is? See what their response is. Absolutely. And this is something we speak about is, and you did touch on it, Perrie, don't be afraid to ask questions. Interview your estate agent. Don't just go along with everything they're saying and just nod your head. Ask questions, interview them. And we're not going to be offended. Absolutely not.
That's why we're there.
Exactly. And then it's really about collating all that information and then comparing and looking at potentially not just what's on paper up front, but as you've touched on, Perrie, what is the end result going to be?
Yeah.
And that is the key to look at. And that really will help you make that decision based on your own terms as well. Now, that's a lot of information to take in and a lot to look at. But then what would you say, Perrie, for somebody that's then looking at the next step when they've done all of that? How do they then choose their favourite estate agent, you could say?
I think by the time you've gone through this process and you've maybe seen 2 or 3, you will naturally have a connection with someone anyway. And you'll have built a rapport with that person when they've come into your home. So that agent, you will have either a warmth to them, or you're thinking, I'm just not connecting. And sometimes that's vital as well, because you need to connect with whoever it is. So through this process, you will have kind of had a connection. You'll have been motivated by them, hopefully. You will have had a feeling that actually they're passionate about your home. And this is the things we speak about. And you gave an example there, Sophie, about the dining room. I had exactly the same thing. We've got a client who we're launching again just after Christmas. And when into their lounge, and the last thing that we talked about was, what can we do different? Is there anything we need to change about the home? And I said, well, actually, yes. So, the lovely sofa, but they had this additional chair that didn't really match everything else, but actually blocked away to the bay window. And I was like, I would absolutely, for photos and walkthroughs, I'd be moving that chair, and I'd be setting up that table, and I would be changing that. So again, just giving them advice, and they were like, actually, that's really great, because that would make more sense, and it would make it more free and walk through. And as you say, it's a family living space that the new people who come to see your home want to really enjoy and be involved in, and can see their family living in there. So for me, absolutely, you will have connected with the agency when they've come out. You'll have connected with that individual person. You will have liked the key things that they talk about. And then really for you, it's just about how do you scrutinize that a little bit further before you make that final decision. So some of the criteria I'd be looking at to scrutinize that is their inspiring marketing. Does it inspire you? Are you going to feel motivated by it? Have they really demonstrated their passion for your house? Have they showed you and demonstrated the reach that they've also got? So, Sophie, you spoke about S1 Homes there, but, are they actually demonstrating to you that they're UK-wide and further afield, the actual reach of the individuals that they're getting? How many people are coming to their website? What's their social media looking like? What's their interactions like? How many reviews did they get? Because if you're not getting reviews, you've not connected with the people that have worked with you before. So that's really important for me as well. So I think when you're looking at the actual inspiring marketing side of things, would you accept second-rate photos? I wouldn't.
No.
So
No.
again, are they doing professional photography, or are they just basically walking around and using their phone? Because actually, phone photographs, they're dark, they're dull, they don't show the depth of a room. You can't
No.
really appreciate what's on offer within those rooms.
Mhm.
And I've seen it myself when I've looked at some of the comparables, and you look at them, you go, oh, those photos. And that's important as well. So do they inspire you with their photograph plan? Are the descriptions dull? Have they made spelling mistakes? Have they even actually summarised the property? You spoke to me, Sophie, the other day there about a property who was listed with someone else, a different one, and have now come to market with themselves. And when you were chatting to them, it was a little village outside of Cooper. And actually, the whole summary had nothing about the village. It was all about Cooper, but yet it was nowhere in Cooper. So, you know, it's a village. What did it have on offer? Where was the walks? What was the commute like? Where was the transport? Was there fun things for their kids to do? There was just nothing in there about that. And that's really vital. So the description needs to be right and it needs to be accurate. But also for me, I think really a first-class promotion of your house is vital. It's a non-negotiable. It's the pinnacle of what will happen as soon as you launch that property. So when that's launched, you know, you've lived in that home for a long, long time, so you know the benefits of it. But actually, someone who's looking at it for the first time doesn't. So it's really vital that the photographs, the description, the way it's marketed are got to be so prominent and they hit the ground running first time round. So really vital, and you can't really negotiate on those things, I would say. I think also you want to have someone who has an excellent knowledge of your home. So, you know, what are the nearby streets like? What are the neighbours like? What events can you go to? What are the schools like? How are they graded? Is there walks? Is there cycle paths? Is there outdoor activities? Especially if it's a family. You know, I had a family recently that I was viewing a house who had 7 children who all had different needs and requirements. And I was able to tell them everything about the local area and what they could enjoy. And they were beach kids as well. So that was fabulous to be able to do that, because look at the beach we've got here and all the things that they can do there. The pump tracks, the cycle park, the skate park. You've really got to understand all that, because they're vital to buyers making choices. So can the actual agent, when they're out visiting you to potentially sell your home, demonstrate that knowledge as well? That's really important for me. Even things like, you know, the target market. So have they shown you, well, actually, we have got people who are interested in this type of property because we've just sold one down there and we had 3 other families who missed out on that house. So, you know, they've got to be able to demonstrate you that they understand the market, they know how it works and how they're going to find your buyers as well, and not just wait for that phone to ring because they've listed it on Rightmove. That for me is vital.
100%.
I think also you want clarity about the service standard. So they will have told you what they're going to do, but actually clarify that again. So what does that really look like? How often are they going to stay in touch? How are they going to communicate with you? Are you going to be available to them? There's various ways that we communicate with our clients and make it really simplistic. And again, I'm not going to give all those away at this point, but you know, we've got a lot of ways to communicate. So again, are they even asking you what's your preference in your communication style? And initially, we'll need to have conversations to get everything arranged for the schedule. But actually, after that, when we're daily trying to communicate with you, how do you want that to take place? Because people are working, they can't always answer their phone. Is there an easier way to do that? So I think absolutely the touch points are important, how frequently, and the type of touch point for me is a big thing. The last thing that you want as a seller is to be left in the dark. You don't want to be sat there thinking, right, that's it launched, because you're super excited when your property launches and you think it's amazing. So at that point, if it just goes quiet and you've got dead airspace, that can be really frustrating, can't it? And I guess that's what I was trying to allude to earlier. If you've had an agent round who's just been round your house in 20 minutes and then off, well, actually, can I get in touch with you? How can I get in touch with you? Are you going to be there for me? If it's dead space and I want to chat with you about how we can change that, are you going to be there? And are you going to be creative enough to give me confidence that you're going to be able to get my house sold and make something happen? So that for me is a really big thing. You absolutely just don't want dead space, because then you're sitting in the don't know zone, and that can be quite concerning for you, because you've got all this excitement about getting ready, haven't you? And you want it to kind of just happen there and then. So again, it's about making sure that that momentum stays there. And I think for me, when you add all of that together, it should be really someone that you don't just have confidence in, but also I think you've got to remember you're entrusting them with your home.
Yep.
So the person, when they knock on your door, that agent, they're a complete stranger potentially. Obviously, if you've got social media and you present properties the way that we do, 9 times out of 10 people know who we are, or at least they feel that they do because they've probably seen us out there. But this is someone who's coming into your home and you need to entrust them. But you want someone, again, that you can have that ongoing relationship with for a few months, because even once you're under offer, it's about how do we get you sold. And so that can take months of a process. At the moment, conveyancing is taking anything between 8 and 12 weeks on average. It can happen quicker, but on average, that's what it's taking. So once you're under offer, do they then just go silent and move on to their next one? So it's about guiding you through the whole process. And do you get that comfort from that person that you met? And did they demonstrate that you will get that interaction from them? For me, that's absolutely vital. And then really going on from that, the next thing really is then how do you plan your launch and what does that strategy look like? What's your thoughts on that, Sophie?
Absolutely. So you've picked your favorite agent and they're instructed, and it's time to plan the launch, ready to hit that big green button on going live. And what does that, and I have spoke about this and touched on this, but what does that strategy look like so that selling in the new year is making that real impact when you hit that market? Set a date for going live. What does that date look like? Has your agent been strategic in thinking, okay, what's potentially taking place on that date? What could activity look on that date? Let's look back at previous dates' activity. What are they doing to help decide on the correct date for you to enter that market and hit the market to get that real impact? Discuss how you'll make the most of your launch. Is it perhaps a empty property? And I was just at one the other evening. Is it an empty property where we can actually look at doing an open house or an open day, which is fantastic when we're able to do them because they really drive that interest in the competition. Can't be done with all properties, obviously, if there's personal effects, but if it's an empty property, are they going to use that to the advantage? And actually, will it work for that particular home? Some homes, even if they are empty, won't actually benefit from an open house if it's potentially got really ornate features or a lot of details, or if it's quite large. Not every property can do it, but again, that's where the agent will guide you. And then how is your agent going to conduct those viewings? Or actually, let's just rewind a step. Is the agent even going to do the viewings, or are they going to expect you to do the viewings? That's a question as well, and something to factor in when you're picking an estate agent. What does the viewings look like? And actually, is the agent going to do them for you? And if they aren't, how do they do that process of a viewing? How are you kept up to date? How are you informed? Do they do the due diligence like Perrie's mentioned? But actually, what does those viewings look like? And then price point. Now, obviously, you get your home report done. As Perrie said, that sets the valuation, that's the survey that sets that. But have you had a conversation with your agent about the price point that you're going to enter the market at? Now, I would say for us, Perrie, 9 times out of 10, we go to market at offers over the home report value. We are not an estate agency that says, okay, that's your home report. However, to build interest and to get you sold, we're going to take 10 grand off and we're going to enter the marketplace at a lot lower price point. That is not our strategy. Our strategy is you've had your home valued. That's the starting point for negotiations. It's our job to get the reach and get the audience, to get them through the door, to negotiate up. As your agent, we're not expecting you to pay our fees for us then to take 10 grand out of your pocket before we've even hit the marketplace. And that is a key here, is what are we actually going to enter the market at? And is your agent going to guide you with that as well? Might sound like a really obvious thing, but actually it's not. So it's something to really look over and consider, and check through everything. Is your estate agency, yes, they've pulled all the marketing and yes, they're the experts, but are they actually letting you see everything and approve everything before it goes live? Are you getting to look over the photography? Do you get to look over the description? If they have the video works, do you get to look over it? And actually, what does all of that process look like? Are they keeping you informed in all of that? And also, are they doing it? And I had this, and I was actually a little bit shocked, to be honest, Perrie. I was speaking with a client and they were deciding an agency, and we're always if the video's not great, if the weather's not great, sorry, we'll not do the photography and we'll not do the video works. We want it to be the best day it can be. Granted, we are in Scotland, we appreciate that, but we're not going to do it if it's chucking it down or it's really grey and dingy. We won't do that. We will reschedule it. But the client had said that another agent said, well, if we have to do that, we're going to charge you for having to reschedule. And I was not aware that that particular agency did that. And I was like, but it's within our best interest to get the property within the best light, within the best day for that. But they'd been told by another agency that they would be charged if they had to reschedule the photographer or any of that. I was really shocked at that. But hey, but actually, what is that agent doing for you in that sense as well? And we appreciate absolutely people think, oh, we need to wait till spring, summer, till the, we're in full bloom and the garden's nice and we've got the longer evenings. People are in that mindset. But actually, we still get some nice, clear days. Yeah, it's a bit chillier, but you can't see that in photos and descriptions. It's still a sunny, clear day, and that is what we're looking for. And we just do the viewings within that time frame. There is always a solution and a way around things. So what is your agency going to do for that?
Agreed.
So then actually, when you've pulled all that marketing together, you have your strategy, you know what price you're hitting the market at, you know where in the market you're hitting and what portals, how it's going to get hit. Then you go to market. That is your perfect home presentation. And that is when you are planned with your launch and your strategy. But then what would you say is a kind of final, Perrie, what is your final prepare your home to sell?
Yeah, so for me, absolutely, it's about that presentation of the home, isn't it? And what do you need to do there? So the festive season for me gives you a really great opportunity as well to take a break. And also, if you're looking to stage your home nicely and just make some nice little tweaks, you've got all those January sales coming, which are brilliant. So you can get some really niche, nice little, not expensive items that will really zhuzh up your home a little bit as well and make it really stand out nicely. If you've been in your home for a long time, even simple things like throws and cushions and just decluttering and putting the odd minimalistic thing out, but that are new, that are not going to cost you. And actually, when you move to the new house, you can take them and use them there as well. So it's a real cost-effective way of benefiting you now and later. So for me, that's a real big thing. So on that note, you absolutely need to be thinking about the decluttering if it's needed. So again, people want to see workable space. They want to see that they can see the worktops in a kitchen. They want to be able to walk into the hallway and see the sideboards looking nice. So it's about making sure that things are not overly cluttered. Shelves aren't bulging. Kids' bedrooms aren't bulging with toys, which I know at this time of year is really difficult because we've all got lots of new ones coming. But it's about planning that declutter for me is a big thing. If you've got any little repairs that need doing as well, I would absolutely do those. I was out with a client the other day, the back step had crumbled. I said, you've got the brickwork there. I would absolutely fix that because it's not just that it's making it a function again, but also it's that mental thing with your buyers that says this home's been cared for. If there are things that are broken and not repaired, it can make someone think as a buyer, I like the house, but it doesn't feel very well loved. And does that mean I'm going to have to do much more work? And are there hidden secrets that I've not uncovered that I might have to deal with when I move in? So those are things that I would say are really important. And as we were saying earlier on, removing that chair so that you can get to the bay window. So even the decluttering is about rearranging furniture as well. And as you said, with the dining table, some things that work in one room might not work in another. So even switching them around, you don't necessarily need to spend money buying things. If you've got something in a room that you can move into another and it makes that room just looks like a much more functioning space. So for me, that's really important as well.
Yeah.
And I think if you're potentially downsizing, if you're looking at furnishings, then it's a good opportunity as well, maybe even to store some of your furniture, look for forward time where you might be selling. So that's a big thing for me as well. And as I mentioned earlier, go shopping for your textiles, your cushions, your throws, new bed linen, because they're really important. I was at a client the other day and they were saying, the bedroom looks great, I know, but actually I'm going to have to tweak it because that won't be the bedding that will be in the photos. I'll be putting my good stuff on there. So they're things that are really, it's practical things, but they make a difference to people, don't they? So for me, that's a really big factor. And then bathrooms as well, you know, get the nice towels out. You don't want to be having towels in there that are your kind of ones that you've been washing the dog with. You need to be making sure that you've got some nice available things that are looking really plush and new and fresh. So absolutely, you need to be doing that. You want to add that dash of luxury to your property. You want to make sure you've got nice soaps and nice towels and making it just look pretty for everybody. That's vital for me. Then we're talking gardens, as you mentioned earlier. It's not the best time of year because the gardens are maybe looking a bit darker. The sun's not getting in them. So add that winter magic. You can be putting outside rugs, outside cushions. Festoon it with lights as well, because it is a bit duller. So get that nice lighting in the garden as well. And also seasonal plants are great at this time of year. You've got so many nice ones in with all your fiery reds. They're a great touch to the garden. And also it's worth your while. We've all lost the leaves in our garden. I know I certainly have, but it's really crucial that you actually make sure that those are removed as well and that the garden's looking nice and spruce. Because again, it's just that mental image that you're setting and that story that you're telling that the house is loved and it's looked after and you don't have that issue of the buyer potentially thinking, oh, the garden doesn't look great. And all the features are hidden because they're covered in leaves. But a little note on that though, with the leaves, just mind the little animals might be sleeping in there, little hedgehogs and things. Be careful. That's really crucial for me. But it really does make the garden feel much better as well. So those are really low, cost-effective ways of adding value without spending lots of money, making it look cleaner, making it look plusher, making it look tidier, and ultimately more inviting. And the whole point of doing this for me is that you want the buyer to feel, oh, actually, I could live here. I was doing a viewing the other day with a client and the layout of the property was a bit quirky and they'd gone all through it and they loved all the rooms and everything about it was really special. And then, you know, I said, is there anything else you want to look at? He said, I wouldn't mind actually just having another walk around. So we were walking around again and I could see the cogs in the brain going. And I said, what is it you're thinking? What is it you're trying to work out? He said, I'm just trying to work out how my family would live in this space. And then by uncovering what his thought process was, I was able to say, well, actually, you could do this in that room. And actually, you could do that with this room. And then suddenly went, yeah, that would work. I'm feeling that now. So it's about really connecting, but they will only connect when they feel it. So again, the diffusers, the smell, the plushness, they're all things that make that, because we buy with emotions. So it's what they're seeing, what they're hearing, what they're smelling, that will allow them to then feel what they're going to feel about that house. So all of those things for me are really vital, and the warming. And you've got those lovely colours at the moment for staging as well, the oranges, the reds, the greens, the real pops of colour that you can add. And those are things that will actually give that warmth and welcoming feeling to the buyer. So really important that you take the time to do that. And again, your agent should be advising you of that. I've done it myself when I've gone in, and you might walk into a kitchen and think, oh, it's a little bit sterile, and whilst it's beautiful, it feels sterile. So it's like, get some winter colour in there, get your oranges in a bowl, get some nice bright flowers in there with your purple carnations or reds and the greens, and just add those touches and pops of colour to spaces as well, because they have a false thing of just making a house feel welcoming. I had a lady the other day who was preparing her house for a viewing and actually had baked some scones and they were sitting on the side. And as soon as the people came in to view it, they were like, oh, look, there's scones there. And it was just that instant connection of, I could see myself in this kitchen making scones for my kids.
And it's almost, do you not think you can almost see the clients, like, if you can see them almost like relax, it's like they go, it's almost, you can see their shoulders drop and they just relax into the space.
They do. And that for me is vital, especially when it's a family that's coming as well, because one will always be more energetic than the other, because as a pair, there's always one of you that's doing all the logical things, the practical thoughts. Then there's the other person that's going, oh, I love the space, and they're the excitement, the happiness, and can see it all working. So it's actually important that you pick an agent as well when they're doing those viewings that can connect with both of those people, because actually once they leave that building, they're going to have a whole conversation about what one liked and what one was concerned about. So it's vital as you can pick up on those things as you're going around that property. But the property can do a lot of that work. And with ourselves as well, the fact that we do that video work as well, that does a lot of the heavy lifting, because actually the feedback that we get, Sophie, don't we, is that, by the time someone has come to see the house, they've probably watched the pre-portal 20 times. They've then probably watched the personal property tour 20 times. They've read through the description probably half a dozen times. They've looked at the photos again and again. And actually what they say to us is they're 95% convinced by the time they actually come to do the viewing that it's the house for them. And then really what they're wanting to do is when they come into the house is just to see, how does it feel?
Yes.
How does it feel for me? Because that's an important thing. And we've all done it if we've gone to look at houses or gone to visit friends. You get that warm feeling about something, don't you? So that for me is really vital. And taking care of that preparation that I'm speaking of will really drive it forward and give you that kind of road to success, I guess, in getting the house sold.
100%. Yes, absolutely. So final thoughts from me, I would say, on the back of all of this is make informed decisions, do your homework. And you can obviously, yes, we've done this and we've spoke to you about this, but you can click the link, you can read through it all. So you can almost take it as your action plan, like we said. Reach out if there's any questions, but please make informed decisions and do your homework. That would be my final bit of advice to anybody out there.
And my advice on the homework, and actually we're going to help you with it, not just give you advice. So if you are watching this or you're watching out on replay, we have inserted a couple of links in here as well. So not only is the link there for this article, we've also inserted a link for 4 ways to declutter your home. So that will help you on the declutter piece. We've also put a link in there for late year gardening. So how can you spruce up your garden and make that ready? And also we've put another link in there of the power of professional photos. So again, that's a really strong way of you managing who you're going to pick if they've got all of this type of information available to you. So have a look at that and it'll give you a good insight to what 5 properties offer, obviously. But if you've got any questions or actually you've had a really positive experience or negative experience, we'd like to hear about that as well. Not necessarily from ourselves, but just any agency interaction that you've had. We like to have that because it really allows us then to educate others as well and help them make some choices. And that's it from me.
Amazing. Well, all the best. Take care and we will see you all soon.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.